your heart. Keep it in your pocket for second.
So here on my right, I have Callie T, local entrepreneur, local actor, and host of Pressure Points, a new podcast. Definitely check him out. We love a good creative and entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. On my left, we have Queen Sully, a local MUA and entrepreneur herself. By night and by day, she's a financial advisor. And as of recent, a new toured model. So that's amazing. So we want to welcome them on to the Pillow Talk for the first time. We're going to get deep, drive connection, and we're just looking for some open conversation in this space, safe space. So we hope you enjoy. Okay, you guys.
I mean, who are you?
Oh, facts. I'm Alex. I am the creator of Sincerely Your Sister. I own the juice business that goes by the same name here in Wichita, Kansas. I also am a local creator and writer. And I also, local creative and writer, copywriting, social media marketing, things of that nature. So yeah, hey, preferences, right? So like with the culture that we're in today, everybody is very clear on the dating culture that we're in. And the dating pool definitely has piss in it. Okay, can we just be real?
The water is blue.
The water is definitely blue. So I feel like there's been some struggles happening, and I feel like as of recent, with the pandemic and in the last 2 years, we really have been coming into grips with who we are, coming into self-awareness and really getting to the point where we're starting to uncover some things within ourselves. Some of us are taking that and riding with it and making positive changes. Some of us are in full denial still, but that's okay. So I would say probably just generally, what do you guys think about, in general, the dating culture in our generation at this point? And we'll go to you first, Lauren.
It's definitely trash balls.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
What is trash balls about
listen,
it?
It's just, at this point, it's just no one has the time or the capacity to actually get to know someone.
Yeah.
And I think we're in such a short attention span time frame where we have to figure out if this person is our soulmate in less than 30 days. And it's just like, Negro, sit down. It's never happening.
Yeah.
It's not. Literally, if you're going to build a relationship, it's going to take time. And I think that's one thing that we're lacking in is the chill to sit down and actually get to know somebody.
The rush to commit.
Right. And it's just like at this point, it's like, what do we gain from that? So it's just these quick, fast relationships that aren't benefiting ourselves, for one, because either A, we don't truly love ourselves, or A, we're just in the rush to be loved.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Yep.
Sorry, I went there.
No, it's okay. So Callie T, we're going to go to you next on that.
Yeah. No, I definitely got to piggyback on what Lauren said because that was good. It's definitely a situation where people are trying to put the cart before the horse, right? They want the results of a healthy, happy marriage, which is love and loyalty and transparency, but they don't want to do the work to get to that point, and they don't want to put their time in the right places to get to that point. So I definitely agree with what she said on that. I think our culture is, we don't have clear goals on why we want to be with somebody else. And because of that, you see it in the relationship, right? So if you're with this person I always tell people the reason why you started is why you finish it. So why would you start a relationship with somebody in the first place? Is it for clout? Is it for their attractiveness? Is it for their financial security? Like whatever you're dating them for is the same reason why you're gonna finish it. So what you start is what you finish. I think we would do better to get to know more people before we even
commit.
Exactly, and say, hey, we're on a playing field of romantic involvement or physical involvement. Legitimately get to know the people in your environment, in your community, and know what they want to do, and then decide if that's something that you want to make a future with or not. Not the other way around, as in like, I'm gonna find somebody, if I want to make a future with them, then I'm gonna figure out what they're all about. We need to bring back friendship between men and women in the Black community, and in most communities. But we got to bring that back.
You touched on something which, you know,
So
it's so loaded, right? And I think you touched on something that resonated, which was I think we have to, if we're being honest with ourselves, when you're getting into any type of partnership or relationship, you're doing it. We're in the culture of ego, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing it with a purpose, or it should be, right?
Yes.
You know, and it's what are you going to bring to me? I feel like we need to normalize asking that question, not just for the sake of love, because oftentimes love is not enough, and it's not until we're deep enough and too thick into it that we realize that that's the case. And so I think asking those questions, the right questions, but to know what questions to ask and know what you do or do not want, you have to have a strong foundation in who you are.
That's facts.
You know, you have to know who you are and what you're looking for, or else you're willing to accept anything.
I agree.
And I definitely think, to my next point, with the over access on social media that we have, I think it has definitely affected our discernment when it comes to who we allow into our orbit. And when it affects boundaries, our boundaries get bendy, you know what I mean? Like we're willing to, in the world of connection that we say is connection on the digital space, is not really aiding in connection.
It's diluted our perception of what reality is.
Yes.
It's the illusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the illusion of choice.
The illusion of choice. Absolutely.
Y'all better breathe.
It's the,
Seriously.
you know, I think in any space, too many choices is not beneficial. Too many choices unproductive. You don't want too many choices.
So that ties into, are we in the season of having open communication with multiple people and making multiple connections?
Being clear about that in the beginning.
Exactly.
Right.
That communication is so vital to being able to say I'm in a healthy situationship with myself.
Right.
Because I'm trying to figure out what I want.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's about me. And at this point, if I've told you clearly, like, hey, this is what I'm looking for and what I'm doing right now, if you're not willing to accept that, then being okay with moving forward.
Yes.
And I think we get stuck.
I didn't want to, but when it comes to, I think women especially, I would say, kind of fall into, let me just say this, little zinger.
Look, I know how you like to tussle. Say it.
I know, you know how I like to tussle. Men are way better at setting boundaries and keeping them than women are. Because women make decisions based off of emotion every single time. And so based on how I feel today, I will allow this, and tomorrow I may not. And so that causes confusion in the dating space, I feel. And women, I think that we struggle sometimes, the girlies struggle. The girlies struggle sometimes with, this is my boundary, and this is my boundary today, tomorrow, next week.
Exactly.
And that will stay consistent. I am about me right now, and I'm firm in that. Not when you're lonely and it hits 9 p.m. and something happens. And then and men, the way that they think, it's a lot of the times they're not the bad guy. You're giving mixed signals. Today you told me this, but tomorrow you told me that. Or you're going to tell me this next week. And so now I have to juggle your moods and already I'm turned off to the fact of being to the possibility of being anything further, if that were even the case, because now I feel that you can't control your emotions.
And this is your pattern.
And your moods, yes. And that's a real thing that I feel like that women don't think about in general.
Because we're trying to appease the image of the relationship. We're trying to
create that. We're trying to perform for love. And, you know, and I'm interested in hearing your point of view on that when it comes to the other side as a man.
So I was exploring this topic and trying to wrap my head around it, and what I've come up with, and I could be wrong, you all give me your feedback, but I feel like men, and when I say this, I'm not talking about every single person that has the male anatomy, okay? When I'm talking about men, so take the preconceived, oh, not all dudes are like that, then I'm not talking about them, okay? The men that I'm talking about right now, they're the type who make decisions based off of what they want, okay? When I go to work for an expected result. And what I put into that, I have an expectation of a return, right? So I do things based off of what I want. What I find my sisters do more often than not is they make decisions based off of what they don't want. And that's where you have things that are fluid by the day. For example,
in translation,
and it's two different priorities, right? So I don't want to be disrespected, right?
Fact.
But I want to be a provider male for the woman that ends up aligning herself with me. Okay? I want that more than I don't want to be disrespected. So I don't allow the temporary disrespect that I feel at my job when it comes up stop me from doing the purpose and doing the job that I have to do.
That's resolve.
For
Boom.
the end result.
Exactly. I'm focused on the end result, and I find a lot of the times my sisters, they're like, well, I don't want to be bored.
Fixated on the current.
They're on the current situation. Like, well, I don't want to be bored, so I'm gonna go out and do this. Well, I don't want to be out here without security, so let me go do this. Well, I don't want to be with this man who's married and he's boring, so then let me do this. And it's like, you're a double-minded. You're from day to day, you're running away from stuff instead of running towards something.
And being true to what that decision is and sticking to it.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this literally in that moment. It's like, oh, I want dick.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I got standards. I have morals. I have.
So which one are you going to choose? Because one of them has to win out. And go ahead.
Let's say,
Go ahead.
Look, like I told you, I said sometimes coming to that middle ground of, okay, what am I compromising for? Is this for myself, or am I doing this to appease you?
Right. Well,
because I don't want
need to ask that a lot.
Because I don't want you to run away. Because at this point, we're in fear of, okay, you know, that whole digital clock is clicking.
Yeah.
Your mama done told you since day one, girl, your eggs only last for so long. So we've been that's been instilled and engraved in us to think that we're not going to be worth anything after a certain point. So it's like we're running out of time.
The Kevin Samuels planting those seeds in this generation, right?
He could sit the fuck down. So. Like at this point, it's just like women are really just stuck in this mindset of what if?
Well, and I think that is valid to some points. I think we all bash not Kevin Samuels as a person, but his ideas, right? And I think that, I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning, I understood what he was talking about. I'm not gonna lie, because there are, I'm not trying to bash the girlies. So
it's okay.
It's not, I think it's accountability. I think it's accountability, really, because like, there are women that's like, I know tons of women, right? I want love, I want this, I want these type of things. But baby, you haven't sat down long enough to even know you and what you bring and what that is, and to decipher and to filter out what. So when a man comes at you with this energy, are you going to be confident enough to set that boundary in that moment? And if he's not willing to respect that in that moment, then you move on. But what happens is that anxious attachment, right? It's now you feel invaluable. Now you're not getting that text back. You're getting anxious. You feel like, am I unworthy? Am I unwanted? And our problem started in the root of it, which was putting our stock into a man's approval in the first place. That should come from you and who lies in you, which is God, right? So I think that's the main thing that we struggle with.
Can I push back on that a little bit?
Please.
This is so interesting. It's interesting because as a male who was raised by his mother primarily, I was actually taught the opposite. And it's just so crazy because I wasn't really taught, okay, if the woman is doing certain things, you have to set a standard and be able to walk away from that. I was more so taught how to be what women liked and how to get approval from women. Yeah. And so it would never be, if a situation was women have decided we don't want men who make less than a certain amount of money per year, there would never be a point in my childhood, the way I was raised, there would never be room for thinking women were wrong for the standard that they had set. That women were wrong, because as a man, if you're not doing things for the approval of women, ultimately, what are you doing it for?
Okay.
And that's something that, like,
y'all better be listening.
We have to realize culturally, women drive the culture. If women weren't with the rappers and the dudes with the chains and the pants sagging and doing all this stuff, dudes wouldn't be acting like that. Okay?
Yeah.
So women I don't think sometimes they understand the power that they exercise by being able to set a standard for the men to come up to and perform to. But as someone who has done that, it's like, okay, great. I stayed in shape. I made the money. I stayed educated. I carry myself a certain way. I'm sexually disciplined. Okay. I'm not on social media. So it's like, now that I've done the things that women would like for me to do, when I also have standards or I also have expectations, I'm getting a lot of pushback in the marketplace over that. And so I'm kind of getting the opposite of what you all are saying, where maybe they're laying down for the wrong man, or they're accepting certain things that are below their standard. I'm not finding that at all. I'm finding where women are still, no matter what you bring to the table,
Not happy.
correct.
Bars up here.
Because they're chasing after things they don't want, right? So it's like you can want to be with a business builder and a hustler until it starts to get boring, and it's like, well, now I don't want to be boring.
Yeah.
It's going to be boring sometimes.
I feel like it stems, just to piggyback, it feels like it's stemming from what we've been taught and what our parents are showing us. They're showing us, you see, I'm a single household. This is a single parent home. Do better. We've been pushed to perceive that this is the standard and that we need to break, that we need to be better than. So of course we're pushing for the fairy tale. We're pushing for the Fortune 500 company family.
Security. Women want security.
But then where does security become more than that? Like why are we trying to surpass that? Like, why is that not enough?
Okay, there you go.
When really, like, as long as that foundation is laid, like, girl, you know, I love that metaphor, literally. Lego. The man who created Legos was genius. Because literally all those pieces wouldn't work together if they weren't meant to make a foundation.
Right.
They wouldn't work together.
I think that goes into, our vision sometimes being skewed as women. And you know, Callie, I'm sorry, you repping for the men. You know what I'm saying right now? It's only you right here.
2-1.
Because I can only talk about, but it's like, I think from what I see, right? I see that I feel like women sometimes don't know, they're not focused on, because when you get, it's not until you're knee deep into a relationship when you're realizing, okay, our values need to hold true to the same thing, right? You need to,
see, that's exactly right.
And it's like, you don't know, you can write plays all day long, but until you're shooting in the gym, you're not going to know how to throw that free throw. You're not going to know how to do it. So it's okay at the beginning, which I had to teach myself, right? Is like, okay, in the beginning, how are you, instead of performing, instead of putting on a mask, I'm going to present my entire self. And I love myself enough to accept if you can't accept that, because men can have preferences too.
Yes.
Just as much as we women can. So, and when your preference doesn't align with who I am, I'm not taking that personally. It's just that we're not fit together, but I'm going to look at the whole entire picture. Because at this point in my life, what I'm looking for is, can we come together as individuals and do this? You know what I'm saying? I want to go together. Do we work in tandem? Do we do this? Do we work? Are your strengths my weaknesses? Are my weaknesses your strengths? And can we move upwards, right? Or can we expand together
as two individual persons? Because I think that's where we lose ourselves in trying to be that person's everything.
We fall into them and get
because we feel like if we don't do it, someone else is.
Yeah.
And I'm just piggybacking just off of what you said, just in terms of being everything that women expect, or vice versa, trying to be everything that men want. And like for me,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Look, I was just gonna say, just for me, I think that's where I put myself in that friend zone so easily, because I'd rather be the bro than the one that got turned down.
Yeah.
It's a safety mechanism.
It is.
If I keep myself here, then you don't have the power to.
Because it's like, no, I'll bro you all day, every day.
Right. Right.
Because it's a safety net. It is a safety net. Because then it's just like, you don't want to be looking stupid, catching feelings.
Well, I think women are confused about what men want. I think women think that men want BBLs and angles and
the culture
and
of dating right now
is
so construed and just it's warped. It's beyond warped.
Yeah.
Like,
why do you all think that is? Because I feel like, again, growing up, I knew very clearly what women wanted. I was a square growing up, and I still hold to that today. I had to be a square so I could be around later. I'm a corny individual.
Hey,
I'm not out here, like, you know what I mean?
But corny. Okay.
But on that. But on that same note, right? Let's be honest. We're out of the club. Let's just say I took you all out as friends. A man starts disrespecting you, and I move behind you all, and I sip my drink and I look down. What do y'all think about me as a man, right? You see what I'm saying?
Like, I got this. I'll be like,
So I feel like the difference in mentality with the way that men are being raised versus the way that our young women are being raised is that me as a man, I know I need to go get training, okay? If I'm a square and I don't know, I'm not in the streets, I'm not fighting for fun, and I don't know how to handle myself, the correct thing to do as a man is go get martial training somewhere, right? Do a couple of fights in the ring, do some sparring sessions, get beat up, but you have to, as a man, pass that. You have to get over that, right?
Nobody wants to do that right now.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, think about the people who have, like myself, who I was afraid to be punched. I was afraid to be blah, blah, blah. But I did all that stuff so that I could be ready, right? Now, if somebody were to cross me and my lady and we're out, I have no fear, okay? I can handle myself confidently like an alpha male. Sit in the same room with somebody, look across from them with no intimidation whatsoever, right? But I had to learn and become that. The thing that I would like for my sisters to do is, if I'm willing to do all of that to become something that you all will accept and want, and I know that this is something you desire, why is there so much pushback when we say, hey, we want feminine energy, or we want
well, let me stop
submissiveness?
Go ahead. That was very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I've come across men in my past before they were the alpha males, and I think that, let me just start off by saying that I think masculinity, when it's too concentrated and it's not watered down with just a little bit of in touch with your femininity or sensitive side, because we are all yin and yang. We have femininity and masculinity in all of us. Some women carry more masculine, some men carry more feminine, right? I think that, my experience with masculine men or alpha males, right? I think when the masculinity is too concentrated and it's not watered down with that femininity, it can be like poison. It's bitter. I would say, for me, my experience, I am a person, I love to wear chucks. I love to wear sweats. I love putting on makeup and looking girly and those things, but I also really love being in the gym. I love wearing, gym clothes and things like that. And like being, to me, when we think of femininity, it's like, oh, you want me to wear heels 24/7. You want me to my face to be beat every day. No. And my nails and my toes done all the time. And then we'll talk about the physical attributes, right? And then we'll go into like the feminine energy, right? Are men creating safe spaces for us to be feminine, to be vulnerable? Because I feel like a lot of men want that, but
don't know how to really.
But I don't feel safe to be
nurture it.
vulnerable.
But
They don't know how to nurture that.
and I can totally appreciate where you're coming from. So I don't want it to sound like I'm just passing that off to the side. But granted, you may not feel comfortable being feminine, but how much more do you think it is for a black man in America who's a nerd to feel masculine around other black men in America who literally rap about taking your face off with a 40 cal? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're literally talking about it every day, 223s through your skull. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's the violence for me.
you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point or another, you have to put that to the side and say, you know what? I got to be masculine. And you said too much masculinity can kind of be the bitter. And I would 100% agree with you. Right. I think there's a time and a place, and you have to, part of being mature is understanding when to deploy it, right? And when to pull it back. But at the same time, broccoli is bitter. Cranberries are bitter, but they're good for you. You see what I'm saying? Like,
it's finding that balance and being able to compromise with your partner.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and that's another thing. It boils down to, are we going to communicate about it?
That's facts.
Because all day, every day, you can show me that you're masculine. You can show me that you're a provider. But if we're not talking about how it's impacting the relationship, or especially for me, especially because I can relate, girl, I love me a good beat, but I'm at the same time, I'm very much a bro. I'm a bro. I have bro energy. And it stemmed from a place of how I was raised, as well as just how this society views, us plus size, full figured women in the community, and just of relationships. We're looked at as already as, are you really trying to date? Like, so it's just like, from that aspect, being with someone who's masculine and wants to provide, and I'm looking like, oh, I got it, bro. I got it.
Yeah. I
catch myself, and it's hard, but being able to communicate, I think is going to help that dynamic, and being able to say, okay, where can we meet in the middle?
Right.
So you're still being able to be a man while I'm still able to feel safe enough to be vulnerable in my femininity with you. Like,
what do you all feel like feminine is, so that we can break it? I want to break down the illusion of the word, because when people say femininity, we all, based off our life experience, will bring a different concept to that. So let's, as simple as we can.
That's good.
What do you believe femininity is?
Oh, I believe femininity is when I think of the femininity, I think of softness. I think of vulnerability. I think of submission. I think of cooperation. I think of helper. I think of support. And I think of, if man is the head of the arrow, then I am the fletches as the feminine.
Okay.
So I'm going to help steer where we go, but you are absolutely the head and you're taking the blunt force.
Yeah, you're gonna steer and stabilize. Right
Absolutely. I am the,
It's huge. That's
yes. So that's what I think of when I think of femininity. What about you, Lauren?
I definitely agree with the steering part of it. But I, for me, feel like with how I'm feminine, or just in retrospect of femininity, nurturer is being someone who can be able to be able to help when you're trying to be strong. I can be that vulnerable part for you. I can be vulnerable for you. So I think sometimes I don't feel the need for the man to always lead. And I want him to feel like it's not me being the head, but it's me being able to step in where you may not be able to. So that's where I feel like that's how I support or provide in that aspect of being feminine for my man.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I got you. And I want you to know that this is coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
And not to take over or to be the man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the man. You're the man.
Yeah.
And I want you to feel that, but not all men feel that way because, again, of how they were raised or how they were taught, that they have to be in charge. And that's just how the Bible's been set up. That's how the world's been set up.
Yeah. I feel like in the house, like for me, it's a little bit differently because like I am very much outside of the house. I'm a go-getter. Like I very much like, this is what needs to be done. I'm a leader outside of the house. I have to save face. I have to do all those things, much like my husband or my man would have to be doing outside of the house too. Now, when we come in the home though, I want to be soft.
Okay.
I want to cook for you. I
It should
want
be a
to,
safe space. It
yes,
should be a
I
place
want
where you
to
can-
take it off, do what you need to do. You know what I mean? Like I want us to lay our burdens at the door. I want to be able to support you in that. And I think that what you said was interesting when you said, well, if you don't have it, I will be your vulnerability for you. That can become problematic because I want a man that is also capable of having that balance of being able to access that within himself, but not allowing it to overcome him. I am the emotional one. Okay. When my waves are stirring, I need you to be the solid force, right? It's okay as a man to be emotional and to have emotions, but I do think of it differently when I see them taking over when it comes to a man. I think that there's a soundness that is bred in a man that's not in a woman when it comes to emotional stability, if that makes sense.
See, and that's where I want to counter. I agree. I agree in some aspects. I feel like, yes, like the man should be able to be my rock. But at the same time.
Not all the time. I mean, like, as far as like, not like, ooh, I'm me, man, I'm hard. Like, you know, me don't cry. Like, not like that, but like.
Well, so how I feel in a moment, like if a man if he can't, or he's just based off of past traumas or whatever it is that's blocking him from being able to step into his vulnerability or to his emotions, I want to be able to say, hey, you know, I got you. Like, and I feel like sometimes that can come across as, you know, I'm being the man or I'm taking over.
But I'm not your therapist.
See, but I'm your partner.
I'm your woman.
I'm your partner. See, and
it can get messy. It could get, you know, but
so why, let me ask you this then. So in this dynamic of relationships and dating right now, why do people feel like when people turn a phrase, you know, partnership versus relationship, why do they feel like it's different?
I can tell you why.
Okay, come on.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a man's perspective from this. And this is gonna go into the femininity for a man too. I'm only one man, I can speak for myself. But I can recall a night I was living with somebody who I was with, and I seen a flashlight come into the window. At that moment in time, I did what I had to do to defend the house. It happened to be a hang-up 911 call that my neighbors, I lived in a duplex at the time, my neighbors happened to make that call. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I proved that night that I would defend my house and I would give my life for the people that were in that house. I proved that as a man. The last thing I want is when I'm in the doorway, ready to defend us and ready to fall for us, is my woman right there in harm's way. You know what type of emotional havoc and wreck that would have had on me? Now, I'm the type of guy who I also believe in, I believe in doing the whole thing, right? So my woman's got a strap. She knows the plan of action. I'm like, yo, you need to go run right now and go under the bed, get your strap, and if I fall, you need to be able to defend yourself. You see what I'm saying? But they got to get through me first. They're not getting through us. Because if I'm gone, guess what? I'm the type of man, I've got it set up so that my wife's gonna eat, my kids are gonna eat. But guess what? My kids, and I don't have any kids right now, but I'm thinking hypothetically, the reason why I don't want a partner is if he's shooting at us and we both get hit, who's gonna take care of them? Who am I gonna leave my legacy to? No. I want my woman behind me where it is safe. I'm the head of the household, right? Who much is given as much is required. It's not about just being in front because I want to lead. I got to lead because I'm the one who's going to be accountable. The type of accountability that I have to put on myself, I don't want to put on you. They say women, this is a Kevin Samuels quote, I'm sorry. But he said,
it's okay.
This is the place I heard it. But
we're here for the controversy.
He says men's shoulders were meant for bearing the load and women's hips were meant to support and have the life. And I truly believe that. I don't want you out here fighting these men beside me or anything like that. I'm trying to structure my lifestyle so that you don't even have to deal with certain problems. Okay? I don't want no partner. I'm out here getting it. They talking about me. They calling me out of my name. They belittling me. They making me feel like I'm less than. And we all know what type of America I'm talking about when I go out every single day and do that. I don't want you to feel that. I want to protect you. I want to insulate you from that. I don't want my son to feel that. I don't want your son to feel that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why we have such an issue with the partnership, because it's like, I have business partners all out there. My business partners have screwed me before. Business partners get sued all the time. I don't want a partner. I want someone who's gonna have my back. And from a feminine standpoint, when men talk about feminine energy, think King Kong and think the little white chick that they had. They had guns, they had helicopters, they had all kind of missiles.
Kelly.
I'm just telling you.
That's a hell of a metaphor. That's a hell of a picture for femininity.
Think about the one thing that calmed King Kong down, right? You shot at him. You did all this BS, right? They take the little white woman and put the white girl in front of him, and he automatically recenters. That's what we're looking for. That's what we think femininity is. If I was I had to explain this to somebody. I said, look, if I was a tiger in your house and I'm doing something you don't like, but I'm a full-grown tiger, are you gonna talk crazy to me and yell at me and kick me? Or are you gonna be like, no, don't do that, don't do that? Because it's a tiger, right?
Look, the other part of me is like, I might get a little crazy.
Well, I mean, because we all know that tigers are dangerous, right? Why? Because they've killed people before. But I can guarantee you more men have killed other people than tigers have. So why do we treat men like they're less dangerous than a wild animal? When at the end of the day, men have shown they can kill more men or more women than wild animals. We need to start.
I think that goes into the well, be my peace, right? That goes into that sector.
That's exactly what it is. And the most simplest.
I think what's happening though, you are an anomaly. You seem like a really great man. You seem like a great man, and that you present yourself well as a man when it comes to the community and when it comes to your relationships as well. We have to keep in mind that we're talking about the general population of men.
That's true.
I definitely want to copy and paste you throughout the world.
Right, facts. If we could, but it's like what's happening is that in my experience, I would love to be feminine. I'd love to fall into that femininity. The thing is that oftentimes when I've shown up as that person,
I'm crazy.
It's been, well, not that. It's been like, well, what is it? I don't feel safe to fall into you. I can't trust. Right. Somehow there was trust broken by the way you handled a situation or the way you run the household or the way that you do things. And I don't trust you. Those things build up. But now the masculinity is so bitter that I can't even come to you and say, baby, I don't like the way that you handled that. I'm not doing it in front of anybody. Right. I take you to the back room. Baby, I don't like the way that you did that. Yeah. Can we talk about how we can do that differently? I'm not threatening your masculinity by doing that.
Absolutely not.
When I think of partnership, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm saying, hey, when I come to you,
will you listen to me?
Will you listen to me? So I can feel safe enough to be transparent with you. I want to tell you, most women, I would say, I want to tell you everything. You're my best friend. You are the head of the home. I trust you. I want to fall into you. Do you make me feel safe enough to do that? Because when you get the masculine energy and you get the pushback from women, it's because they don't feel safe. It's because in some way that trust was broken. And it doesn't have to be infidelity.
It was never instilled.
Right. Or it was never instilled. And that's from, you know, women being the choosers, right? You have to, it's that goes into a whole other subject of having that discernment when it comes to those boundaries. But a lot of it is the emotional intelligence and you meeting me with understanding. And you have to understand that at the end of the day, I am a woman and I will have concerns that may not have crossed your mind today because you're worried about putting bacon on the table, but then that my concerns are just as valid as yours. And when you sit down to hear me, that's going to ricochet and put a ripple effect to everything that you want done in the house that day, that week, everything like that.
That's facts.
The blockage comes from ego.
Okay.
And the blockage comes from, now I feel like I have to defend myself because you made me feel unsafe. I don't feel heard. You shamed me for this. You did this. And it's like there's these expectations that come. And when those aren't met, it's like, well, there's a shame body there, right? And so shame can't exist with vulnerability, which vulnerability is the root of femininity.
Yeah.
Those two can't exist in tandem. So what are you doing to make your woman feel loved, to feel accepted, and to feel open with you? Yeah.
Critical key. And the only thing that I can speak towards that, because it is a real concern, and it is something I've wondered about myself, is, okay, if I've got my head on straight, how do we create a culture of more men that have their head on straight? Because I typically hear this. When I give the woes that I'm going through, and I'm gonna tell you this, even if you have everything, it's still going to be hard for some women to transfer into that femininity.
Right.
Because some, like you said, it just wasn't instilled in them.
Right.
So it's hard for them to make that switch. So I totally get that. But if more women were seeking men like myself, not me, but just men like myself, I feel like we would have better results. But I can't tell you how many times I've dated women and they already have children with somebody who's opposite of me. So that allows, that right there lets me know, like, okay, you're willing to give the biggest honor of having this man's child.
Speak, own it.
And he's completely opposite of me. So how can I blame the next 12 or 13 or 14-year-old who's seeing this? How can I blame them for acting like the people who are getting the results when the people like me aren't, right?
Ooh, okay, yeah.
So
That's something.
That's why I say women have that power to sway the culture, because the more young women that are like, oh, I don't do the thug stuff. You know who got me like this, man? I had a crush when I was 16 years old. I was sagging my pants. I had the shoes on. I was doing the whole nine, right? I came up to her. I tried to shoot my shot, and she said, I would never talk to anybody that dresses like you. I said, what? She said, you got to pull your pants up and you got to talk like you got some sense if you want to talk to me.
Come on, sis.
And I've been this way ever since.
Yes.
Women have the power. Y'all have a lot more power than y'all think.
Yes.
And I think we've lost that sense of power because of how saturated the market is right now with what we see, what the world wants. Like how what we see men are what they DM their home as being a bro. I see the mess.
Yeah.
I am in the bro chats.
So you know,
I see
the
filth. I see it every day. And it's just like, so do y'all do, like, I guess that's where I think we get lost in, like I said, in our power and knowing that we could really make a difference in terms of how we set the standard for what's acceptable and what's not. We get lost in the notion that, well, no, he doesn't want that. He wants this. And that's where we dim ourselves.
What he wants.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we forget that, again, without us,
first of all, life wouldn't even be here on Earth.
Yeah, because you got to think, when people have kids with men who are less than qualified, you're producing an offspring that, I mean, if the man's not around, it's like, is this, so now your child is supposed to be qualified now? Or are you bringing more of the same, right?
And then, and it's just...
Well, not only that too, when you have trapped emotions in your body that you're not dealing with, right? When it comes to your lack of boundaries, or when it comes to your lack of things that you're just carrying to each relationship, right? You're going to manifest and you're going to bring to you the same thing. What happens is, like, when things are nestled inside of us and they're not dealt with, they boil up until it gets triggered again. And then you're realizing, oh, I'm in the same exact relationship with a different face.
Crazy.
This is the same woman with a different face. This is the same man, all this other type of stuff. What are you doing in your singleness? What are you doing right now besides keeping your eye out for the next? You know what I mean? What are you doing right now what are you doing in the moment of that aloneness and you searching for your preferences, your boundaries, what you prefer, what you don't prefer, so that the next time something comes around, you know that it was your vibration of your most authentic self and what you wanted that brought that thing or that person to you, you know? And if you're not resting in that, then you don't know you don't know whether this is authentic or it's not authentic because your discernment is off because you don't know yourself, you know? I think that it starts there, and it starts with self and knowing you're going to, just like they say, you change your mind, you change your money, period, every single time. It's the same thing with a relationship too. You change your mind, you change what you attract, and you start to set boundaries that align more with what aligns with you, right? And yeah, I think that individual truth is okay, but I definitely think that women struggle getting there if we're constantly worried about what men want. Or if he's going to stop talking to me, if I place this boundary, if I say this or if I say that, or, you know, and it's crazy because then we have men like you out here saying, well, we're looking to see what standards you will set to meet those standards. And would you agree that what you've seen when it comes to the dating pool, what you've seen, are you shocked by, okay, so would you say that it's either one of the two, like the bar is really high to where it's like, they're not even paying you no mind because it's like, you need to have a certain status, all this other type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or would you say that the bar is so low to where it's like, are you serious?
I think that's the issue. I've run into a lot of issues where women won't actually engage with me further than maybe a first date or whatever because they automatically eliminate themselves from the pool. They just like, you know, this guy's on a different level. I wasn't planning for all this, so I'm just gonna, exit stage left. And that's fine. I'm not here for anybody that doesn't want, to be with me or whatever. Like, I'm good on that. But that's been the bigger issue. I feel like if I dumbed it down and I brought less to it, then I would be getting, all kind of different opportunities here and there because oddly enough, when women come across somebody that meets their qualifications, they either start to unqualify that person or themselves. Yeah. And I don't know what that is, but it's for some reason they'll either eliminate themselves or they'll eliminate that person.
Destruction.
So, but you get somebody who's less than perfect and you're like, well, I know I'm not going to marry this dude. I know this dude isn't my husband. Then they go do a one-night stand with him because they feel like, I know it doesn't mean anything. And it's so backwards.
Oh, right. Look,
it does, because then they end up, and then they end up doing it again.
Can we get into that? Can we get into soul ties for a second?
Let's get into it.
Because the reality of the situation is as our culture of dating, of casual sex. What? Okay, I'm not.
I don't want to call it casual sex.
It's not. Nothing's casual about
Nothing at all. You are giving your whole entire body
and soul and spirit and all this other type of stuff.
You're giving it away.
I think with any interaction, even with us sitting on this couch together, we're going to leave with an imprint. We are you are in my orbit. Both of you are. So I'm going to leave with an energetic residue. Just based on this energy, this residue.
I know, right?
Okay. So we're gonna all leave with an energetic residue based on this interaction. And so when we think about that, can you imagine how that translates sexually? Can you imagine that? I think that at some point, it begins to be like to where it's, even with that, even if nothing is just sex, period. I just don't believe in it. I don't even know how to continue the conversation outside of it because I don't believe in just, we just gonna do this just for play. What? No, there's always an end goal.
It's certainly easier for men because the end goal is the nut.
But why?
There
it is. There it is, folks.
Just to lay it out.
The nut.
The nut
has obtained the nut. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for guys, I think it's a little bit easier, but for spiritual individuals, or let me say spiritual males, because I think for women across the board, it's a bit of a tougher situation. You don't just sleep with somebody. that's also why there's a double standard when it comes to women cheating versus men cheating. Like,
speak on it.
because as a guy, like, I don't even think about some of the one-night stands I had when I was a kid. But I'm sure there's women out here who y'all still know, like, y'all know every single person. Y'all know. You know, I can't do that.
Look, cricket.
Who was it that said, she said she was Dre, it's like, she was like, no, my hoe has been deleted. For real, because sometimes you just gotta put it out your mind, sis, so you can go ahead and move on.
If I didn't, it never happened.
Yeah.
It don't exist.
That's it, yeah.
And you gonna have to re-meet me. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
thank you. Okay. But
Yeah.
But yeah, for men, but I don't think they should be doing it, because when you're responsible, you realize your actions don't exist in a vacuum. So sometimes, you get what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, I'm going for me, I'm doing my thing, like, I just want to have fun, and you do that.
But if you're honest with that about that up front, then that's okay.
I think it's
okay.
It is in certain situations, but it takes an amount of maturity too, right? Because if you know somebody, like, for a fact, is not, like, you're like, okay, this person is saying they're down, but they're gonna get feelings. Don't do that. Don't do that to that person or yourself, because you're putting yourself at risk.
It's an emotional attachment. No matter how you write it up, draw it up, it is a connection that's never gonna ever be broken. I don't care if they move across the seas. You're still connected to that person. It's still a lingering attachment to your body. You've had some type of, I knew you were gonna do it.
So, Lauren,
Yes.
how is that for you, being one of the unicorns in this culture who is
still a virgin.
still a virgin?
Oh, really?
Yes, she is.
Oh, wow. This is
Yes,
crazy.
folks.
I didn't know that. My bad. Okay.
Yes, folks,
But it's not due to
Alright.
lack of opportunity. Let's just clear the air on that one.
No,
Okay.
it's a matter of
Never a
moral.
lack of
It's a matter of
opportunity.
morality, right?
Never.
Yes.
Okay.
That's huge.
I think it was because of how I was raised. For one, my grandma instilled in me so much of strength and being that I didn't need a man to make me, and that if he is right for you, you'll know. And that was just very much instilled in me. And then seeing how my mother, raised me and my brother, my brother and my sister with three, not to put our business on the straight, but three, different fathers, and how that impacted her livelihood. Not in terms of finances, but just in terms of how she raised her household. She had to be everything for us. And seeing that just really clicked with myself. I was just like, I don't want that. And not that she didn't do an amazing job. Kudos, Mom, you were amazing. But for myself, tying that into what it meant to give, I was giving something of myself and what it could produce. Children.
Yeah.
Scary motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
And they are.
But they're beautiful blessings at the same time. But at the same time, it's just, you're taught you need to do it right.
Yeah.
And to see how the world has done it in many different ways, wrong and right.
Yeah.
It's scary. And I realized I didn't want to give that part away. I wanted to wait until I realized that person was meant for me. That connection was there. I wanted them to be my best friend. Of course, I had my list. We all had our lists. In elementary, high school, I was checking it off in my head. Do they meet this? Do they meet this? But like you said, would you date yourself?
How do you separate that from your identity? Like, not Lauren the virgin, but Lauren who just happens to be a virgin. How does that get brought up? I would say when you're dating people and you're in that talking stage, how does that, in the world of casual sex, how does it get brought up?
It does not get brought up easily. It's definitely later in because I feel like not everyone's entitled to that information right away, because now it is putting a label on where the direction this relationship is going to go. Because now, if it wasn't something you were looking into, like, long term, you're going to immediately shut down. You're going to limit your conversation with me, or it's just going to stop. We're just going to stop talking to each other.
Because that's putting obstacles before the...
Yeah. So my thing is, I don't start with that. I've seen what happens when I start with that, but then it becomes a challenge. Now you're trying to win something. You're trying to obtain that trophy,
Right.
which I hold dearly, and I'm not gonna buckle. I'm not gonna waver until I know that I'm giving it to someone that deserves it.
Yeah.
Because it's me in a sense. I'm giving me.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that when you're having casual sex, there's no such thing. You are literally entangling your body with another person. Absolutely. You're merging energies. You're merging your life essence. Like we can go there. Like you're taking a part of you and giving it to somebody. And so for me, with the culture of casual sex and, you know, people in open relationships, it's in general, just how they're moving, I feel it's been the best course of action to get to know the person first before that gets brought up. Yeah. Because hopefully the conversations we're having aren't sex related.
Hopefully.
Even
hopefully
when you're not a virgin, that gets just like when you bring up sex too quickly, that's very, it's distasteful.
How they started with you is how it's going to end.
Yeah.
Because if they approach you on an Instagram photo or a Snapchat.
But no, these men are getting creative now. They're messaging at 11:11, talking about not your picture, but your writing. Oh, what did you mean by this, queen?
A grand rising, queen. Grand rising.
Most of my Instagram, 98% of it is my writing. Mm-hmm. You'll have pictures peppered in. But then it's like, you'll choose, dive deeper into this, queen. You know what I'm saying? Like texting me at 333. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like
I'm jacking that.
Trying to hit on something it was meant to be. Smart. Did you see that sign? No.
Smart. That's good. No, jacking that.
If he hit you at 33, no, it's a trick.
On any type of angel number, like, bro, you got to hit me back in 2 minutes so that I know it's real. Like, I'm not doing any of that. It's funny that, hey, queen, grand rising.
Seriously.
What?
And at this point, many blessings to you, king, because I know it's a trap.
It's what have we done to make men feel like they have to set up booby traps? Quite literally booby traps.
Now, because we're in an era now, I feel like because we are becoming more like aware of ourselves, especially in my case, like, no, not much is getting through. Like there is a wall, there is a defense, and so now they're trying to, in a sense, maneuver around that.
That wall keeps you from receiving too, though.
It does, and that's where
it keeps the bad stuff out, but it keeps the good stuff out.
And again, that's where reflecting on myself, I put myself in that bro category, real quick, fast, in a hurry. Because again, once I feel like you're chipping at that wall and you're showing me things that are gonna entice me to let down that wall, or that you are potentially someone who deserves my time and energy, now it's getting fickle. It's kind of getting it's a little scary. So now I'm like, and we started doing those just like them. They booby trap. We setting up tests too. Yeah, we're testing each other, and it's just like, why?
I think I want us to move away from that. Like when it comes to like the performing in the beginning, like in the best interactions, the best relationship situations, whatever I have ever been in, is when I come at you, my full authentic self, and I'm like, this is what it is. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I love. This is what I don't know. This is what I'm working on. What's up? Take me out to dinner.
Can you do that with somebody that you're impressed by, though?
That I'm impressed by?
Someone that you look up to.
That is a question, though.
That is a question.
Like, if you actually looked up to somebody, right, and you're like,
oh,
this is the person, I really want to go out on a date with them. Could you really? And it's so odd because, and I think that's why I preach friendships, because when you start as a friend,
it makes it so much better.
It makes it so much easier because you can just be like, hey, listen, this is who I am. This is what I do. But when you have the pressure of a relationship, it's like, now I got to send in my representative.
That's true.
Your resume,
you gotta
come with the credentials, and do you qualify? Like, and instead of tricking each other, why don't we interview each other? Yeah. Like, literally, like the way you present yourself for a job, you're gonna put on your best show, but at the same time, you're actually coming with facts. You're not coming with anything that's sugared and, and glitz and glam. Yeah, you're making it look good, but at the same time, it's coming with raw facts. Right. So at the same time, it's like, before anybody can be my best friend, you got to go through some.
What it's like when you have it in your mind where it's like, I've seen enough and I already know the qualities in you. I would like to. The qualities in you, right? So now I see something, and I'm like a cat on a yarn a ball, and I'm like, Dad, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, can I still show up as my full self? It's like, well, I think the more that you have practice with living in your truth on a day-to-day basis at work, going into Quick Trip, going into, hanging out on a podcast, the more you show up as that self, the more you'll be more comfortable in living in that skin. And so when it does come to somebody that you are impressed by, be impressed by them. Send them love, send them energy, send them light. You can do that within the scope of a friendship.
With still being yourself.
But when you pre-decide that, oh, well, this would be really, when you start, I think what happens is we start imagining things before, like prematurely. Like, it's like, I've seen, look, the girlies will, look, you've been talking to this man for 2 days. You already like, his name is Johnson Mitchell. My name, Alex. So, okay, so Alex, that sounds real good. Alex Mitchell. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, something like that. It's like, well, I think that we put too much stock in the beginning.
Break, sis.
And if it's just friendship, it's like when you go about life and you're like, man, like, regardless of how this ends up, this is a great connection. And I'm so thankful that we cross paths, because here's how I found value in you in our connection.
And you start building that trust.
Regardless, right? Regardless of how it comes. And if it does turn into that, I want it to be organic and that's beautiful. It does, if it flowers into that, right? But if it doesn't, then that's okay, because I still appreciate you.
And you're good to look at. And like, that's like the best thing ever, right?
Yes,
Like,
it's like, you're my motherfucking best friend, and you're fine as fuck.
okay, like when you go out, when you in a group of fine people, y'all just walk a little bit taller. Y'all know y'all fine. Y'all walk a little bit, you know what I mean? Y'all know.
Like
Amazing feeling.
You some sexy ass.
Yeah, all I roll with is good
Baddies.
They all got symmetrical faces. What? Like, they all fine.
But I'm not gonna lie, it does boost my ego to know that I got baddies on my corner. You know what I'm saying?
And I
not like that. They're not on the corner.
not on the corner. You know what we're saying, right?
Not the corner.
Not the in her corner.
Reel it back in. We're gonna try that again.
But no, I completely agree, and that's why I preach friendship, because it shouldn't be all on you to know this guy's got this qualities, he's this, he's that, blah, 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 blah. Like you said, in 2 days, women are thinking about the last name. Y'all should be able to do that, but with the right guy.
Facts.
Okay? And so a lot of the times when you have friends, just because you're not right for that person doesn't mean that they don't know somebody that you might be right for. Sure. And so once we start networking, it's like, hey, I got a friend. He's cool, he's solid. This is what I know about him. I think you two might hit it off. You know, I think we should have more of those situations going on. I mean, what
happens in reality though is that now she looking at you like, but why didn't you want me?
Exactly.
You know, because this is, you know what I'm saying? Because we've already just pre-decided. Why are you committing so quickly to this idea? When what it is in the beginning, when you don't know somebody, it's an idea of them.
That's all that it is.
It's an idea. And oftentimes we fall in love with the idea of someone rather than the reality.
That's facts.
Or their potential of what they could be rather than the reality of what they are today, presently. It doesn't matter what you say you're going to do. What are you doing?
Okay. Get it off of the spec sheet. Look, I love the blueprints. The engineers did a great job. Your presentation was amazing. Let's put it on a road test.
Pristine.
Right.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people are falling in love, like you said, with the idea. I love my car, but I've been driving my car for the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I have the experience and I have a right to love my car because of what I've been through. What I dislike is these women loving these men or falling in love with men and doing all this stuff. It's like, how old are you? You know, is he even at an age to perform at the level that a man would? You know, like,
Y'all better be taking notes.
No, and they don't be sometimes.
At this point,
not when we're young.
No.
Not when we're young.
that mental state is so critical. It's so critical. It's like, you may be, you 30, but are you really?
And that's
you really
facts.
though?
That's facts.
And it's more than about asking what your 5-year plan is. It's as you're talking, I'm asking you the simplest of questions, but I'm looking at how you're responding to me because conversation is an art.
True.
It's poetry. So it's like, if you are, I'm very cerebral. So if I'm talking to you and I'm like, it literally could be a conversation. The goal is intimacy without touching first, right?
Come on now.
And it's like, if I'm sitting here and I'm like, thank you.
Right? That's good. I was
like, shit.
I like that.
Yeah.
The brain.
To me. Nice. Okay.
You know, like, can we get intimate before we touch? And I think that leads the way into me feeling vulnerable enough to even let you have my body.
Yes.
But in the beginning, it's like, by your conversation and what are you teaching me? Are we teaching each other? Are we planting seeds in each other? And that can all happen within friendship.
Yes.
And if I'm noticing like, okay, I like the way you talk, I like the way you do things. And it's like, we have to, if we go on For the job we want, we go on 3 different interviews.
Facts.
Why are we not sending our mates, our potential mates on 3 different interviews at least?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not just dates, but just like, what's your prereqs, right? Like, what is your things and what are you looking for? And a lot of times I'm just, you know, I think that for different women it's different and for men it's different. And if you're not living in your truth, everything that you get will be misaligned with you. You're wasting your time at that point.
That's facts.
If you show up as yourself authentically in each space, then whatever you're responded with or whatever you're given out of that space is absolutely aligned with you because you know that you held nothing back. And I think that that's
solid in that.
Absolutely.
I think that's where we don't feel solid in it because we're scared. We're fearful of, oh, they're not gonna be able to.
What's the worst that can happen?
Say it again.
What's the worst that can happen?
He said no. Okay.
Okay.
But see, and that
His loss.
And that takes, and now that's where I will say it is good for women not to feel like the man validates you in that respect, because you do have to create the product and create a quality product. And then once you have that and you know that you have it, from there you have to present it to the world, and those who pick up on it, those who don't.
Right.
Right? Volkswagen is the best car that's ever made. There's not everybody who drives, not everybody drives them. I can't convince everybody, you know, but I drive it every day, you know, or when I'm going down to Dallas and I only have to fill up once.
Reliable.
You get what I'm saying? Like
Sturdy.
when I'm passing
Who
these
know,
cars.
know.
Yeah, it's like if you know, you know.
But you don't see a Volkswagen or a Tesla commercial.
Period.
They not advertising like McDonald's because you know what it is.
You know what it is.
Yeah,
You know, well, hopefully, you know, men don't know what it is by word of mouth because a woman don't want that. You know what I'm saying? But
through friendship, though, you can kind of get that networking and get that reputation. I think what you have, Lauren, is huge. I respect the fact that not everybody deserves the information, but at the same time, if you ever wanted to take a serious, like, okay, for the next 6 months, it's going to be my focus to work with a mate or attract a mate, right? That's what I want. If you took 6 months of your life and you were going to advertise yourself to the world, for example, I think that's huge for 2 reasons. One, there's men who want to know that there's women who are still virtuous. You don't know how many virgins there are that are men. If you think it's hard for you as a woman to bring up something that should be sacred, how do you think a black, I'm assuming that you probably date within the race,
Where my
right?
kids at? Black kids?
So you'd like to have black kids, black babies eventually.
Oh yeah.
So there's
Black
men,
love.
there's men right now who are a virgin and they're afraid because they're looking at the city girls, they're looking at Meg Thee Stallion, and they're like, I can't provide an experience for them that they would be used to because I have no experience myself, right? So I think it's huge. I think more people need to know that it even exists.
yeah.
You
I
know,
appreciate that.
it wasn't even a thought in my head. Like I just kind of assumed everybody was having casual sex right now.
It's easy to think that.
Yeah.
But man, it's been amazing having you guys both on today. I really love this conversation. You guys are both anomalies in the space that we're in. It's crazy
Black unicorns exist.
that I got y'all both next to me right now. I got this virgin. I got this you are more than your virgin entity.
Labels.
You know, and I have this
Big ass
upstanding
thing on my
man
forehead.
next to
Mama,
me, and
mind your business. You don't need to hear this.
And I really hope that the men and the brothers that are watching this definitely heard your words. And I really hope that the young women and the women that are watching this heard your words. And I'm just very thankful. And I definitely hope to see you guys back on this couch with me.
Because pressure makes gems, okay?
Huh?
Pressure makes gems.
Period.
There you go.
A whole lot of pressure on this couch right now.
Let's go.
All right, we out.
Peace, y'all.
We did hit the peace sign.
Wow.
Is this 2005? Bunch of squares on this couch.
Make that the thumbnail.
That ass. A whole bunch of squares.
Yeah, just keep flying. What do we do?
1 step forward, 2 steps backwards, yeah. Immature lover who don't use big words, yeah. I don't need commenting at all because I know what I want. Baby, can't you figure it out? What's going on